Greetings. In this video, I'm going to do a body memory exercise on positioning our thumb. Now, when I say a body memory exercise, what I'm referring to is an exercise in which we do something two different ways and we feel the difference. And that creates what's called a body memory, where when I do something and I feel it, it reminds me of this idea. So, in this video, I'm going to address where do we position our thumb. Now, it is often people's nature to just put their thumb kind of up and out toward the headstock. So my fingers are over here and my thumb is over here. Now this is bad leverage. I'm just gonna jump straight into it. Sorry, it's weird seeing this in a camera. And what happens is I'm pushing this way here and a couple inches this way, I'm pushing back. And what happens is it puts a little bit of a rotational force on the guitar. It wants to spin it. Whereas if I go straight across like this, now I'm just pinching straight across and it takes a lot less force. It's much better leverage. But it takes getting used to. It's not really what our hand is used to put our thumb across like this from our fingers. However, you do it for a couple years and it becomes really natural. So I would encourage you to really fight for it. It's going to pay off in the long term. It's literally something that just makes it easier to play guitar. And when the music gets extremely difficult, we need to figure out what makes things easier. So here's the body memory exercise. What I would encourage you to do is try putting your thumb really extreme, just straight out. And let's do a D chord, but you could do this with any fingering or even just one finger down. So here's a D chord, and I'm going to put my thumb straight out, and I'm just going to press nice and solidly for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. That wasn't seconds, but you get the idea. Now, I'm going to take my thumb, I'm going to bring him in here, count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so really firm grip. We want to go extra tight and go back and forth a couple of times and think about the physical sensation. Let's do it again. And this time we're going to start to really slow down and focus on what am I feeling in my fingers and in my wrist. Okay, so now my thumb is out toward the headstock. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great, and relax. Bring your thumb across from the middle of your hand, and we're going to count to 5. Ready? And press nice and firm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Now what you should notice, if you do this a handful of times, if not immediately, is that there's a big tension difference in your wrist. Putting your thumb out here creates a lot of extra tension. However, some people have done this so much that their body's really adapted to it and they don't even feel that tension anymore. And when I teach, sometimes I just have to ask people to take it on faith and try changing it, and they'll see a difference. It really helps when we start to have some of these bar chords and we have to do some weird stretches and things like that to have that thumb across in the middle of the hand. Now, another strength to this is that the further up my thumb is, the further my pinky can reach. I actually learned this from one of my students who used to take cello lessons. Her cello instructor told her this. But let's say I have my index finger on the 3rd fret, okay, and I put my thumb up here by the headstock. Now try to reach out with your pinky. It's really hard, okay? Now if I bring my thumb up past my index finger, I reach out with my pinky and it can go much further, really pretty easily. So the further up your thumb is, the further your pinky can reach. So that's a really helpful principle, and it's a reminder to keep your thumb closer to your pinky. Now, when it comes to positioning the thumb, this is how I generally break it down. If you were to take your hand and cut off your thumb, okay, now we've got this weird semi-symmetrical thing, okay? Well, the middle of that comes up right between these two middle fingers. Well, if I position my thumb where he's kind of peeking through this window, then that's a very symmetrical positioning, okay? So what that might look like, something like this, where my thumb is between my middle and my ring finger. If I do that, it's really facilitates reaching with my pinky, and it lets my index finger still reach out this way as well. Um, Generally, the way that I do my left hand technique is I view this as the middle of my hand, and everything else should kind of spread from there. The index finger is very, very strong and mobile, and so it's fine to reach out and kind of use this pad and reach some weird stretch if I need to, and then these guys can do more complicated stuff in here. Whereas the pinky is not nearly as strong and mobile as your index finger. So we can make it harder for my index finger and position my hand so that it's easier for my pinky. If I do that, then coming up with left hand fingerings gets a lot easier. So I encourage you to try that. So with that principle in mind, I would encourage you to just reevaluate your technique. It's going to make a really big difference with some passages, and you might find that making this change makes it a lot easier to do some things that were challenging for you. If you find that, I would change it just in general. It's one of those things that's just a good principle. Like I said, in another video, there's exceptions to just about every principle, but we want to make the principle that the automatic thing that you do, and then have exceptions just be occasional. So mess with that. Once again, that body memory exercise is to do a press with your thumb across from this little window here, and then to do a press with your thumb straight out. It's just kind of the most extreme example where this is perfectly centered and this is as off center as it's going to go. If you do that, you'll really feel the tension in your wrist, and then when you're playing guitar and you feel that tension in your wrist, it trips you to remember this exercise, and you notice, oh, it's my thumb positioning that's off. So body memory exercises can be extremely useful for helping us to correct technique issues. It can be kind of a bear to get in and fix something like that, but the payoff is huge and it's worth the effort up front. Thank you very much for helping. Please let me know if this was helpful to you. Good luck and God bless.